Hey guys, it's Denim again. So today another trick tip for you. It's one that a few people have requested. I got a message from Nash as well. I'm not going to try and pronounce the surname, but he says he wants to see the Casper shove it thing that I do. So the Casper 360 shove. So let's have a go at that one. It's probably about time we learnt a Casper trick anyway. Cool, so you'll notice I don't sound particularly enthusiastic today. My throat is raw. It's raw, man! That is because I've been kind of coaching kids and shouting all week. I don't have coronavirus, so if I don't sound particularly happy chappy, then you know it's nothing personal, just a little croaky. So a Casper 360 shove, we're doing a 360 shove it out of Casper. There is no flip on this one. So this one sometimes gets confused with the Casper flip, so flipping a 360 flip out of a Casper. With this trick there is no flip, it's just the shove it. They're a little bit easier I think than Casper flips, but a little bit more predictable as well, and you can use them for a lot of different things too. So there's a couple of things we want to be quite good at before we give this one a go. Obviously you want to be able to get into Casper pretty comfortably from rail, okay? Now also, if you can do that, you want to be able to get out of Casper as well, just popping back over and landing back on your bolts. Now when I say we need to be good at Caspers, I mean we need to be good at actual Caspers where we're not putting our front foot on the floor. Putting your front foot on the floor and trying to spin a Casper flip, as you'll see lots of people do, just makes it wildly unpredictable and also looks a bit shabby. So make sure you can hold the Casper quite nicely for this one. That's going to help you out. I don't like to put a level of difficulty on things, but I'd put it as a kind of intermediate trick, this one. There's quite a lot you can do with it, so you can learn to roll into them fakie, you can do them stationary. But there's loads we can do with it, so let's have a go and try and get you through it. So when we're setting up for the Casper 360 shove, there's two ways to do this. First way is to just drop into the Casper position and flip it out straight from there. What you'll often see people do though is shuffling in Casper. There's a good reason for that. Generally it means that you can get your feet set up a little bit more comfortably for the trick, so you don't have to have that super fast setup. So at first I'd recommend doing your little shuffle on it just to be able to get your right foot position. Make sure that back foot is really locked on to the tail and your front foot is nice and shoveled underneath. If you're doing this one out of like a Casper shuffle, make sure you go for the flip on like the backswing, okay? That's going to give you that bit more torque to be able to throw the board forward and get a full shove out of it. Right, so my back foot is going to be solidly on the tail. It wants to be on the toes a little bit. So I'm not going right up on my tiptoes, but I'm kind of just on the balls of my feet, so I've got a bit more spring on that back foot. My front foot is nice and shoveled underneath, okay? It's important to have this right under the board. It's going to be just a little bit down behind the bolts, okay? So I'm not going to have my feet super close together and they're not going to be super stretched apart. It's going to be just behind the bolts. Imagine like an ollie position. If you turned your board over, that's the sort of position we're looking for with our feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and compress a little bit to take off for the Casper 360 shove. With it spinning a full 3 shove underneath you, you're going to have to get a little bit of height and jump fairly high for this one. So it's all about having that power there. So the more you compress, the more you can spring back out and get the height on it. So I've compressed, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick that front foot up and forwards fairly hard, and I'm going to sweep the back foot behind me a little bit like a scissor kick. So imagine when you're getting out of Casper normally, so if you can do a Casper big spin or something similar, that little shove motion just to get the board around. Now we're going to do that, but we're going to exaggerate it a little bit and give it that little bit more power. If you find that the board is kind of flipping over a little bit and you end up landing it upside down, that could mean two things. It could mean that your back foot is in the wrong place, it might be in the corner of the tail a bit too much, or that your front foot is kicking out a bit too much, more like a kickflip rather than a shove. So we want to try and keep those feet fairly level with what our shoulders are doing, so not getting them into the corner of the tail or not pointing them at a weird angle underneath the board either. As I've said, while you're going for that sort of exaggerated shove it motion to get the board to spin the full 360 shove, make sure you jump high to give it time to spin underneath you. Look out for your bolts as you're coming round as well. It's quite easy to end up landing these in a tail stop, which isn't a bad thing, but if you're wanting to do these as like the rolling version, then you want to land on your bolts so you can roll away from it comfortably. So the first thing, if you're really struggling, try and get your Caspers down, okay? Your Caspers need to be really good for this trick. If they're not, go back and give it a bit more time, because if you're struggling holding a Casper or shuffling in a Casper or even just flipping the board back over consistently, then you are going to struggle with this a bit. So go back, dedicate some time to working on that, and then take it into the 360 shove. So that is pretty much it for the Casper 360 shove. There's tons of variations for this one, so have a play around with them. The rolling ones I'll probably do a trick tip on another time and we can have a go at those. Any questions, give me a shout. I'm here to help you. Thanks very much for watching again. As always, like, share and subscribe if you're into this sort of thing, or don't. It's kind of up to you. And keep an eye out for some more trick tips coming up soon. Thanks very much guys. Cheers. Good luck. Bye bye.